Defensively, we were very physical up front. Had great games played by Jamal Ligon, Martavius French. Played a really good football game. Osiris Simon, Christian Clayton showed up, the knockdown pass, caused fumble. Brevin Randall. Losing Ken Robinson was a big loss for us during the week in practice. Not having his ability to get us lined up back there in the back. Some miscommunication in the secondary, which really was disappointing that we turned so many people loose again. Offensively, we ran the ball better than you think we did. I mean, if you could take away our minus plays, which I know you can't because of sacks and maybe a ball being snapped on their move call, and we thought, it was just a miscommunication again. We ran the ball much better than we thought we were going to be able to against that massive front they've got. Our disappointment on third and fourth down short was very disappointing. Quarterback play was much improved from the week before. We got to get our receivers going. Robert Henry had the big run. We thought he broke his thumb on that play, so I took him out of the game. The X-rays were inconclusive, but we got him back Sunday, and he's good to go. So that's a good sign. Special teams wise, we punted the ball a lot better, and we covered very well. Our guys got down the field. Marcellus Wilkerson had another great game on special teams. Our deep snapper, Cade Collenbach, now has 2 tackles on the year. There's a play Marcellus made on a touchdown-saving tackle. He missed the tackle, gets up, and comes back and makes the tackle. Kids' morale on the sideline, they were into the game, and even though we had a very disappointing last 2 weeks, we still feel like there's a lot of upside for this football team.
Greg?
Jeff, what were the biggest areas within that rundown that you can look at and say were significant steps from the week before to where you guys were on Saturday? Where did you see the most progress?
Our physicality up front on our D-line, we took a real step backwards in the secondary, but we took a real step forwards up front. Offensively, getting Mekhi Hart back at right tackle, Vinley back at left guard. They're not 100%. You can see them laboring out there, as Corey as well. But, just CJ, it's his first year to start for us at center. That's tough. And there's some communication errors up there, and Kamar at left tackle as well. But those kids are getting better. You can see that. We got to get our receivers in the game more. We've got to find a better way of being creative and getting our kids the ball in space. And then special teams wise, just our ability to punt. Just very disappointed in our field goal operations. Had to burn a timeout because we don't get the ball snapped in time. We got to be better at our operations. So we've got to really look into that and see what we can do to help our kicker there.
You mentioned Mekhi. He played quite a few snaps at right tackle in this game. Has he progressed a little bit faster than you thought, or what led to that?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought he'd be able to get 41 snaps in this game. He was laboring, but and he feels good today. Those are all good signs. We've got 1 week to get ready before we go to East Carolina to start conference play, and that's really one of the toughest places to play in the country. They do a great job with their home crowd. I think they had right at 50,000 there versus App State last week, and now we got a Houston Christian team coming here that scored 70 points last week.
Staying on the offensive line, we saw DeAndre Marshall play quite a few snaps at guard. How did he earn that opportunity, and what did you see from him in the game?
DeAndre keeps getting better. He had another good game. He didn't get out quick enough on the screen. Last play of the game, and Eddie hit him right in the back with it. That was not good. But other than that, DeAndre had a really good ball game, and he just keeps getting better each week. San Antonio kid out of Central Catholic. And Ben got out there and played well as well. So we've got some young guys that are still developing. And we played 8 guys in the game there, 9 on the O-line. And I know it doesn't look like it because we didn't have the success we wanted, and we got just stoned on third and fourth down. But our line is getting better up front.
Jeff, I wanted to ask you about the use of the running backs. Are you guys planning to play these many guys all season long, or do you think that'll taper off as the season goes on?
No, it'll taper off. We didn't plan on getting boat race 2 weeks in a row, so we're got to be smart for the long haul.
So switching to the defensive side, what did Danye bring to the table coming back?
Just his energy, his juice, his leadership. That was a great get back for us. he's a leader on that defense, and the kids really rally around him, and he made some plays like he always does, and we're really excited to get him back. Need to get Ken back at safety, and we're getting closer. You'd like to get JT back at wide receiver. You need to get Amador back at wide receiver. Those have been some big losses still.
Jeff, you mentioned Ken Robinson's absence. What did you see from Jimmy Wyrick in a starting role and getting to play an increased number of snaps?
Well, he's limited, that cast on, but he's still out there battling his tail off. He's a very smart kid, high character. Has a degree from Stanford, which is very impressive, and he's got a lot of eligibility left. So I hate it anytime you got to play with the cast and you're having to tackle some of the best athletes in the country. That's pretty hard.
It seemed like on offense you guys used less tight ends or less two tight end sets compared to the previous couple of weeks. Is there something that led you to want to make that shift, and what did you see when you brought the extra receiver into the game?
We just felt like, matchup-wise up front, those guys were pretty massive. So we were trying to get the ball in space a little bit. Similar to our 2022 game plan, we just weren't really wanting to go in there and participate. As you can tell, we tried it on 3rd and 4th down, short yardage situation. We just wanted to see, how good are we up there. And we pulled it off twice, and the other 2 times we didn't. So that was just it. It's just a situational matchup. We were trying to get them spread out a little bit more.
Is that how you sort of make that assessment week to week of how much you want to be in 10 versus 11 versus 12? Is it all based on the opponent, or is there like an ideal way you'd like to see that balance?
No, it just depends on each week. Some of it's personnel, some of it's just tendencies you're trying to break. It's just that balance. That's why we're up here all night trying to figure out stuff. And I know we're not very successful right now, but historically we've come out of these things many times, and we feel still confident we're going to do it again.
You mentioned having 2 weeks to get ready for East Carolina. What are the things that jump out immediately that need to be fixed or that you'll be focused on?
In the back, our communication in the secondary has got to improve drastically. We took a step backwards. We looked similar to we did 2 or 3 years ago when we had a bunch of transition in the back. Losing Rashad was the big loss because of his leadership, but we knew Ken would come in there and be able to hold that down, and him not being out there was big. We've got to get that. It's not anything that the other guys did wrong. It's just Ken's so much more confident, especially in that kind of environment. Offensively, we got to get our receivers going. Our running back, we're getting them going a little bit more. Our line's blocking better. But we got to get our receivers the ball in space. And special teams-wise, I've already mentioned it. Our field goal operations is the last piece of the puzzle. Chris Carpenter did a great job returning punts in the game. So every unit was solid, except for our field goal unit.
Is there anything that's been missing offensively to prevent you guys from connecting on more explosive plays?
Our protection, just not giving our guys the time to get down the field to get open. But we were much better at that this Saturday. We had the one MA where I don't know what the hell we were thinking. We just turned the 5 technique loose. They did a good job on a green dog where the linebacker came late and kind of got our running back once. But other than that, we protected pretty well. And I thought Owen's pocket presence is getting better. He came out there a little early a few times, but I don't blame him. He was more calm than he was the week before.
Jeff, I think this is your 3rd different offensive line starting combination in 3 games. Can you speak to how difficult it is to get continuity when you have those small changes like that every week?
Well, y'all should know. Y'all have watched it now of the 5 years, it's happened every single year. Even when we beat Illinois, we lost Maka early in the game. And KD had to go snap at center the whole dang game. It's the darndest thing I've ever seen in my life. Each week, I tell y'all this every week. I have one coach that all he does is in pregame is look down there at their starters and then come tell me who's going to be here. And inevitably, they're like, hey, they're all out there. And we are fruit basket turnover every week on the O-line. Other than quarterback, it's the hardest position to play. Because at least at quarterback, you got to worry about you. On the O-line, it's all five working together. Like I know when Will got smoked on the 4th down and 1, I mean, it's literally just a communication between my center and my guard of getting that A gap taken care of. And I know everybody's like, it can't be that hard. I mean, your A gap's to your left. Well, they get in a bunch of different fronts up there, and you got to get all that ID'd and communicate with all five of those guys. So um, getting Mackay back is going to help Jay really tremendously. Jay's going to be fine at right tackle, but he just got a still 10,000 hour rule. I mean, we've got 3 new offensive linemen we've been playing with up there, and a new quarterback and some new receivers, and it's just going to take time. Can we expedite it to get ready to start conference play in 2 weeks is going to be the test.
What's the main goal this week as you wrap up non-conference? Like, what's a win look like on Saturday?
We just got to keep getting better. I mean, defensively, we got to get the areas in the back cleaned up. Up front, our O-line continue to improve and give us time to get the ball down the field to our receivers. And then our field goal operations on special teams. We have improved in other areas, but those are the things we got to get cleaned up quickly.
Great.
Jeff, you've alluded to the field goal operation a couple times. Obviously, Chase was excellent for you guys last year. Is there anything you can identify more specifically that's led to some struggles early in the season?
No, I just think we've got to get him out there. You know, he's got a new holder in Kale, and who's doing a great job. But, you know, he's been with Lucas for that whole time, and that stuff just takes time to work through. And he'll get it fixed. I have confidence he'll get it fixed. And we got to help him. You know, we've got to do a better job of the operations and getting that out there quicker and get set up better, and so he feels more confident.
We obviously saw Tate Sandell attempt the field goal in this game. Is it a situation where on some of the longer kicks his leg strength might come into play there, or is there a chance for him to get more involved and be taking more of those opportunities?
No, it was just the distance of the kick. And then, again, our operations again. We're fixing to delay of game. So you got to burn a timeout. It's not good football. And I'm the head coach, and we got to get that stuff fixed. We're just, you know, the holder's got to get that thing going, and he's a freshman, and we got to be better, and we got to keep practicing it, and he will. Kale's a good football player. Kale's going to get this figured out. He's just young, and we're going through some growing pains right now.
We talked a lot through the spring and the preseason about how the team's leadership would look different this year without Frank and Rashad. What differences have you noticed through 3 games without having those voices on the sideline?
You just got to find your way. I mean, I said this as many times you would listen to me, and maybe y'all do and maybe you don't. I don't blame you if you don't right now, honestly. But nobody wants to remember what it was like when Frank and Rashad were freshmen and they were out there trying to lead. And we had some growing pains. It was rough. There just wasn't as many as y'all watching as there are now. And it's pretty natural. It's part of a progression, and we're going to get through this. We've done it before, and we're going to do it again.
Who has stepped up and tried to provide that leadership and be that voice so far?
Well, Jamal had a great bounce-back game. Martavius did as well. Christian Clayton was great up front. Cyrus Simon had a great game. Ken's been that guy in the back. Donye's always been that guy. Getting him back was big. But when we get Ken back, you know, he's been doing that as well.
I know a lot of those guys that you mentioned, we've talked about how they aren't naturally as vocal. Do you feel an impact in the game, or does it make a difference when you have guys who are working through that? Like, how does that sort of manifest on the field?
Donye has enough words for all of them. We're fine on our word count.
And then, Jeff, for UTSA, this week has been speculated as a potential candidate for the Pac-12. I was just wondering if you've given any thoughts to the pros and cons of that, and if it might make sense for the program.
That's why Dr. Compost is the leader of this place. She handles all those situations. I got to get to playing better, or they're not going to want us in anybody's league. We got to go play good football, so somebody will want us to play for them. And obviously, that's where my focus is right now, Greg. I hear the chatter like everybody else does, but I've had some conversations with Dr. Compost, but those are things that, you know, she's dealing with all the time, and my job is to get her a better football team and help her in that situation.
Anything else for Coach Traylor this morning? All right, thanks everybody.
Thank y'all. God bless. Birds up.